Let's talk about the mindfulness game in a nutshell. In your words, what is it?
In my words, well, look, it's so much more than just a workshop. I think it's an experience, right? There's nothing quite like it out there because it encompasses my expertise on mindfulness and having practicing it, consistently for the last 20 years. So I think the format's quite unique, Andy. I provide the theory, I inspire curiosity, I give attendees the framework to practice it. And then it's over to the second half. How would you describe the second half of the mindfulness game?
But part two is a chance for us to see everything in action. I guess that's the experiential learning part of it, which I love because I love to see, people are paying attention, taking notes in their journals, and then putting it into practice with their teammates is really exciting.
Exactly. I love seeing them apply some of the theory of being really present, getting outside their shell, and just immersing themselves in these missions, and they're having fun whilst learning. But I wanted to ask you, what's one of your favorite missions that you've observed?
Probably my favorite mission in part two is where teams have to locate a giant pile of Lego, and their task is to create the mindfulness mascot.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a creativity, a design component. They're discussing with their teammates, create something, and then they got to build their little mindfulness mascot. Next step, though, is where we get them to do a sales pitch to accompany the mindfulness mascot. We have actually had teams incorporate, their favorite mascot from the day, and build it into their office and take it back. So
how cool is that?
I think that's super fun. Yeah, it's good to see people like playing with Lego. That's cool.
It takes them back to their childhood. I think it's not all about seriousness when they come together. It's about connecting with their. I know it sounds a bit corny, but they're connecting with their inner child, and they're getting back to, play and fundamentals around just authentic human connection. But what I enjoy the most out of it, Andy, is piecing it all together when we come back to the debrief after the game component. And I love watching you facilitate that. How would you describe that debrief?
Any workshop needs to have some actionable items and some takeaways.
Yeah.
And the debrief is our opportunity to reflect on some of the learning, some of the experience, but then reflect and throw that to the rest of the group and say, what can you take away from this? What are you going to put into place that's going to create transformation for you in the future? What can you share with the rest of your office? What can you hold each other accountable for? I wish we had a chance to follow up and be a fly on the wall in some of the offices that we've worked with, which isn't always possible, but the debrief is by far the most powerful component, I think.
I think so as well. And I think we've sort of evidenced that when we ask, show of hands, who's inspired to take some of these practices into their lives now. And I think for me, just talking to you in this moment, it's something's just sort of clicked. The most powerful part of the mindfulness game for people is learning it in a different way. It takes mindfulness to the next level because they've experienced the power of slowing down, right? Of delaying judgment, of opening their minds, of leveraging curiosity, and just experiencing that authentic connection. But also we inspire them on an individual level, right? To take these mindfulness processes and these recommended morning routines, the 5-minute mindfulness meditation routine, to then measure it. We've given them a metric tool to measure it themselves after 3 weeks. So, just going full circle here, it's so much more than a workshop. It does have the power to transform lives. And, that's what we've been seeing. So, and from the heart, man, I love facilitating it with you. It's so rewarding.
Yeah, me too. It is very rewarding. I think if, as a facilitator, if you're not learning something from every time you step out to facilitate, from every different group, you take a little bit into your pocket and you become a better facilitator and presenter.
Exactly right. And I just love the feedback, when people come up to us on the break or after, again, my mind just keeps coming back to authentic connection. People really open up and tell us about their experiences and their failures and their setbacks and how much the mindfulness game has really helped them. So, you know, you can't put a price on that. It's really, it's priceless.
Let's end with something fun.
Okay.
You know me, I love
Yeah.
to end with a game. Let's end with a word association game.
I'm going to start with the obvious: banana.
Freedom.
Present.
Focus.
People.
Excitement.
Excitement. Love it.
All right, I got some words for you. Let's go. Meditation.
Tranquility.
Fatigue.
Inner work.
Movement.
Stillness.